Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. As part of the design team over at the Counterfeit Kit Challenge group, we are working on our second challenge of the month, which this time around is a color palette challenge. Now you can see the color palette there a little bit closer, and if you joined me for my kit build earlier in the month, you'll know that I was pretty challenged by the colors in this kit, so let's dive in and see how I work this out. If you haven't seen my kit build yet, I will link you up to that so you can check it out if you want. I have already started using this kit for other projects, so I am digging my way through some of these things to try and decide how I'm going to approach that. And the first paper I run into is this piece that has the dark blue, the orange, and a tanny gray. Now, it's not quite either the tan on the left side of the color palette or the gray on the right side of the color palette, but honestly, that's the closest I can get with the supplies in my kit, so I am going to call that good. I do have this other pattern piece of paper that has those colors in it with some tanny grays and the oranges and the dark blues, as well as that lighter blue that was on the palette. So I'm going to use that floral. And as I'm looking through my wood grain, I'm hoping that I can find more of a gray toned wood grain. And I turn one of the pieces over and it's kind of a tan gray, and there it is right there. And I decide that's going to be close enough to work for the color challenge. So I am doing the best with the supplies I have. And if you ever find that a specific challenge isn't a great fit for what you've got going on, just do your best. Don't stress about it. Just do what you can and be honest in trying to attempt the challenge. All right. I am trying to figure out what story to tell with a more mechanical style pattern paper and a softer floral style pattern paper. I did go ahead and pull out this photo, and the photo is a bit of a mess because you can't see it very closely, but it is a leftover package from an advent calendar, a crafty advent calendar project that I did back in 2022. And that was what it looked like after all the doors were open. So I'm going to tell this story of how I took the opportunity with that advent calendar to do a shorts video every day on YouTube. And that took some organization and structure, which is what that mechanical pattern paper is all about, as well as just having fun and enjoying an art experience, which is what my floral pattern paper is all about. So I did have some purposeful reasons behind choosing those two pretty different stylistic pieces of pattern paper. As I've been chatting about that, I have gutted my wood grain paper so that I could take the piece out of the middle and use that for more layers on the top. I am going to use that wood grain as a frame around my mechanical piece of paper, and then the rest of my pieces will layer on top of that. I'm just trimming things down so that they can fit all together. And as I am working with this floral pattern paper, I realized it's going to cover up too much of that background because I stenciled that pattern paper myself. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll link you up to that as well. I like to make a few of my own pattern papers or embellishments, usually embellishments, every month to go along with my counterfeit kit as part of our Forgery on the 4th project. And so I stenciled that pattern paper and I want to be able to show it off. As I'm thinking about other aspects of this layout, I did go ahead and work on my title, and I was out of letters from my alphabet set yet again. So I had to Frankenstein some other letters together to create the letter T's that I needed. And I tell you, you'll hear me say this more than once, I am getting tired of this alphabet sticker problem, and I want to create my own business to solve this. We'll see if I could ever come up with making that happen. At any rate, I decided to give my pattern papers more layers, especially since that floral paper was white on top of the mostly white background paper, and adding that dark navy border helps separate everything out. I did draw a line with my pen around my photo to give it another layer. The problem is that photo or that pattern paper, it has a glossy texture to it. It's from Wild Whisper, which is a company out of Canada, and their papers are beautiful, but they do have a glossy texture to them, which makes writing on them a challenge. So I did the best I could. I should have pulled out my Sharpie marker. That would have done the job, but I just made do. All right, I did mount my title on another piece of that leftover wood grain from gutting out that paper. So I've got lots of that color going on. Now, part of the challenge was to make sure your layout was 75% of those color palette colors that you chose. And I have a lot of white on my layout, but all the rest of the colors count. So I don't know if that comes out to 75%. Does white count as a color? I don't know. So again, I'm just making do with the challenge the best I think I can make do in an honest way. All right, I have my set of embellishments here that I put in my kit this month, and I thought I wanted to use some of the embellishments in that right-hand tray, but I'm deciding the colors in this left-hand tray are better, and it's got florals in it that go along with that pattern paper, and those are all pieces from a Tracy Reed digital supply kit that I go ahead and print out into physical supplies. And I am going to layer these things up and definitely use some foam dots to pop some things up and leaving some things flat and trying to get a nice layer and cluster of items going on. And I will speed this up just a little bit so that we can get through the clustering ideas here. I am setting my layout kind of on this diagonal with my title upper left and my largest cluster bottom right. And my journaling spot is kind of off to the side. But as I'm working on these clusters, I am creating a flow with smaller bits and pieces that go on that diagonal. And that brings us to the finished layout. I did move the little light strand down next to my journaling there, which had been up next to my title. I just liked the shape of it better down there. That was all. So that finishes off the layout for this time. I will leave you with a few close-ups. If you want to join us over at the Counterfeit Kit Challenge, and join into this color challenge. We love to see your work. We're totally free, friendly group hosted over on Facebook. You can also check out our blog for more ideas to see what the other designers did with this challenge. That is it for today. I can't quite remember what my schedule is for the rest of the week, but I should have at least 1 or 2 more videos for you. I hope you will join me then, and until then, have an artful day.